Good morning and welcome to All Things Marcellus with me, Attorney Doug Clark of the Clark Law Firm. I am located at 1563 Main Street in Peckville, Pennsylvania, and I'm right here each and every Sunday at this time on this station to bring you, the landowner, the information you need regarding natural gas development. And in case you forgot, we're not going to let you forget again. I, Doug Clark, the Clark Law Firm, has not, will not, do not represent gas or pipeline companies. I never have, and I never will. I represent the Pennsylvania landowner, royalty owner, property owner for any and all matters related to natural gas development, including but not limited to gas lease reviews, negotiations, pipeline agreements, getting some more pipeline projects started. Also, we say gas leases, seeing some more gas leases popping up, getting Eclipse leases, JKLM leases, Cabot leases, and others across the western part of the state as well. So we're seeing a pickup in leasing activity, pipeline activity, a lot of pickup here. So all of those areas. Estate planning. I'm doing more and more estate planning with clients who are getting royalties and transitioning into royalties. Unitization issues, royalty deduction issues, roadways, surface agreements, essentially you name it related to oil and gas development. That is what we do. So you can always give us a call, learn about what we do. You hear me talk a lot about reviews and consultations. Again, I do these every single week, and they continue to be very valuable to the landowner. And then you say, well, geez, this is a guy saying, oh, look what he does. It's really valuable. No, what I'm telling you is that I believe that. I mean, first and foremost, I'm saying it because I believe it. Secondly, and way more importantly, is the clients routinely say, wow, that was great. Thank you. That was a lot of information. Wow, you've given me a lot to think about. And I am saying to this date, I've not had someone say, what the heck was that for? Why did I just waste my time there? And I hate to say that, but believe me, if you do a review consultation, you send in the paperwork, I review it, and I see that really there's not a lot for me to talk to you about, it's pretty simple and plain, then our conversation, either by telephone or in the office, is going to be short. Here's my job, and this is just the truth. My job is to help my client, to represent my client in the best way possible. My job in no way in the world is to do anything but good and to benefit my client. So I'm certainly not going to manufacture work that doesn't need to be done. I'm certainly not going to make a meeting longer just because I want to spend more time or create a larger legal bill. It just doesn't happen. It just doesn't happen because it's not the right thing to do. And I'm going to say, I say these things and I know it sounds corny, but I'm going to tell you, I strive to do what I think is the right thing to do. And I owe that to my parents and my grandparents and where I grew up. But that's what I believe in. And that's why I get fired up when I see people being taken advantage of, because in my mind, now this is my mind, I don't think it's the right thing to do to take advantage of people and to take advantage of people who are uninformed on this subject. That is what drives me crazy. But at the same time, it's what makes me love the job that I do, because it gives me the opportunity to stop something that I just quite honestly despise, that gets me so upset and gets me so worked up. But I get a chance to do something about it. And so the radio show offers me a lot of therapy where I get to try to get out there and get this microphone and let people hear, hey, there's really some things going on out there that you need to be aware of, And as you hear me say, you need to just stop signing and get information. You got to stop signing, get information from somebody who wants to help you. Somebody who is working for you, who's not, again, if you listen to this show and you meet with the landman and you just sign agreements, I guess I'm not doing my job, because again, whether you're calling me, call somebody, but don't just have meetings with the landman and just sign. Think about that. They work for the company. Their job, get the best deal for the company. Their job is not get you, the landowner, the best deal. And if you don't believe me, if you don't think that's true, well, probably you yourself may have already had a bad experience where you were promised something, perhaps royalties, within a certain time frame, a certain number of wells, and so on and so on. And now here you are sitting there, maybe 5, maybe 10, maybe even 12, 15 years later, and you see nothing. You were promised the world and you see nothing. You were promised no deductions on your royalties, and now your royalties are being eviscerated with deductions. You were promised we're not going to put anything above ground. We're only going to put one pipeline. And then all of a sudden, something different occurred. So don't take it just from me. Probably take it from your own experiences if you signed a gas lease. Then take it from other people's experiences. There are literally 10,000 plus people. Listen, there are literally over 10,000 people in Pennsylvania who thought that they were going to have no deductions. And now, when they got paid royalties, there were these deductions in the royalties. If that alone isn't enough to say, you know what, I need to at least make sure I understand this commercial contract. This contract drafted by lawyers working for Fortune 500 companies for the development, industrial, commercial development potentially of my property, that I shouldn't go talk to somebody who is working for me, who wants to help me. If that doesn't give you the sign that you should do that, well then, you're going to be a person who just signs, and hey, that's your decision. But you're also going to be a person that probably has future deductions taken that you were never aware of. You're probably a person who may have left tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, and depending upon the property and the circumstance, literally over $1 million that you could have received either early or throughout the term of the agreement, but you never explored it. And why didn't you? Because you didn't want to do better? You didn't want to get paid more money for the agreement that you were entering into? Because you didn't want to protect your property and limit the company and what they could do in future operations? Probably not. But maybe, I trusted the landman who works for the company and not me, the landowner. He seemed like a really nice guy. They told me that's all they had ever paid. They told me that Mr. Smith, the big landowner across the road or down the road, signed for this, and he had an attorney or somebody else had an attorney. This is what the local attorney is doing. If you could see me, I'm pulling my hair out. That's why people make bad decisions. In my mind, in my opinion, one of the reasons, or several of the reasons, but you got to get assistance. And again, whether it's me or someone else, I want that to pound into the listeners' heads, because I mean that. I would love to hear from you. I do the reviews and consultations all the time, and I truly believe that they are an outstanding service to understand and identify the issues, understand the contract, and understand where you should go from there. You're listening to All Things Marcellus with me, Attorney Doug Clark of the Clark Law Firm. So I preach reviews and consultations a lot, and with good reason, because also they usually take only an hour or two, because I think another reason that people don't call is because they just haven't dealt with attorneys before. They have a preconceived notion of what an attorney's office and what an attorney is going to be like that they're going to deal with. And if you're listening to this show, I'm going to tell you this. If you call my office, you're going to have the review and consultation done with me and me alone. I personally go through your documents in extreme detail. I also have an agenda for our call or our in-office meeting, and I'm ready to go. Because my job, it is a job. This isn't something, and this is, and many of my listeners I know understand this. When you grow up on Airport Road, and when your dad worked in a mill for 38 years and farmed, and your grandfather did the same exact thing, and you had the privilege and the opportunity to spend a couple summers in the mill, and you grow up in that area where people bust their butts and work their butts off and don't expect anything from anyone else but themselves and generate what they generate themselves. Well, I take that mentality into my job now. So when I talk to my clients, I always think and see that I'm talking to my parents and my grandparents and the people that lived on Airport Road and Dime Road in Armstrong County, and those people who are just like me and how I grew up and just like my parents. I had the incredible opportunity to go to law school, to learn, to get a license, and now to be able to help people just like my parents. Like, what an awesome opportunity. And I'm going to tell you, believe it or not, and again, may us all self-serving, it sounds whatever, but I'm going to tell you from my heart, believe it or not, that is how I look at it. I love my clients. I talk to sometimes some older widows that remind me so much of my grandmother. I have a couple, I had obviously two grandmothers, but remind me one so specifically. And it is just so awesome to have the ability to help people, to help not just even people, but the people that you can relate to, and to know that you're what stands between them and a very bad contract and a Fortune 500 company, a multi-billion-dollar cap energy company, and you get to help them. And that's an awesome thing. So I take that responsibility extremely serious. There's no clients who are numbers. The clients are the people, and it's an awesome, awesome opportunity. So that's where I'm coming from. Sorry if it sounds commercial, but I'll tell you my point was, people I think don't call lawyers sometimes because I don't know if afraid is the word, but maybe they're afraid of costs. They don't know what the lawyer can do. And that's why I encourage people to call our office, do an intake, and see if you like the way we do things. And if you do, then great. We do these reviews, consultations, and so much more. But we can do them over the telephone or we can do them in person. I had somebody drive out from Butler County over 5 hours this past week. And we had an awesome meeting. And it was a great experience, and the person was very happy with everything. We got a great plan together. Now, that's unusual, but that happens sometimes. But we could have done it by telephone if the client preferred, but they wanted to come out, which I am always happy to meet with people. So if you like what you hear, then you go another step. There's no problem picking up the phone, calling and seeing if you like what you hear. And if you don't, and I mean it, that's okay. I think you will like what you hear. But if you don't like what you hear, that's okay. What have you done? You've taken a little bit of time and you had a phone call. If you do like what you hear, you have a review and consultation and you find out, wow, this is something not what I expected. And I'm going to talk about some of that today. I mean, here's one. This is just a real, simple, true thing. This is true. Something that just occurred this week. And again, you can't make this stuff up. I guess you could, but this is the truth. Company sends gas lease. Gas lease says, heading on the addendum, no deductions for post-production costs. The addendum clearly allows post-production costs as we see them. It's just the reality of it. Gives the impression it doesn't, but it absolutely does. Within 2.5 days, the addendum and the lease is changed, and there not only will be no deductions for post-production costs, but the client will obtain royalties based upon the price that his or her, in this case his, gas is sold by either the producing company or any of the producing company's affiliated companies to an actual third party without deduction. So whatever that price is. So in other words, company produces gas on the way from your property. They own the leases. They're producing gas. They take the gas to market and sell it to a third party that they don't own or not affiliated with. You get that gas price. That is very good. Also, if the company, and again, affiliated sales, I could say it for an hour. Also, if your producing company that holds your lease sells the gas to a company they own themselves at the wellhead, which is occurring all the time, if they sell the gas to themselves, you're not going to get paid that price, self-dealing price. This person is going to get paid, so that company they sell it to that they own now takes your gas and goes out in the market and then sells it to a third party that isn't related to the company producing the gas. Well, the new language, my client is going to get that price. They are not going to have deductions either. So, in the matter of 2 days, in the course of 2 days, they now have no deductions when they used to have deductions. How is this determined? Review consultation. Oh, hey, I got this great lease. I got no deductions. Landman says I got no deductions. Here's the lease. And I say, look, I'm so glad you called. And I'm so glad that we're doing this review and consultation because I want to explain some things because unfortunately, what you were told or what you think is not correct. And let me explain why. And now let me tell you if I think there's something we can do about it or you can do about it and what you should do. And in this case, textbook, we got the language changed and the person's going to sign and have no deductions, no affiliated sales, no index pricing, and significantly increase the value of this lease. I mean significantly. And with the acreage that's involved in this lease, probably hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars. And that's being conservative because of the acreage in this lease. So what does that mean? Thankfully, this person called, and within 2 hours, we identified it wasn't what they thought, and in this case, think there's something we can do about it. Within another few hours, everything changed, and now the client is signing. So fear of, oh my heavens, there's going to be this massive legal bill or it's going to take all this time and what's a lawyer going to do? Well, in this case, and I'm going to say this happens all the time, and if there's nothing I can do for you, it's the first thing that I say. Hey, look, there's really nothing I'm going to be able to do, but let me explain why and what we have here. So in this case, client spends, I don't know, maybe by beginning to end, less than 5 hours, around 5 hours, and now has a true no deduction, understands everything, and has other improvements to the lease, which will probably, assuming gas is produced and this is fully developed, with the size of this property, probably results in hundreds of thousands of dollars in benefit. And we wouldn't have spent 5 hours if there wasn't something we could do. So it's just a perfect example. I would recommend calling, and it's not about begging for business. It's about begging of, I want to help you. I don't want to see people leave these things on the table. And they're doing it because why? Because you're believing in the information that you're told by the opposing party whose goal is to do better than you, to maximize their profit, their result. And that's who you're listening to. And I know it's a broken record, but gosh, do we have to stop that. We have to stop it. You're listening to All Things Marcellus with me, Attorney Doug Clark of the Clark Law Firm. I'm going to get you wait till you hear. I think I'm going to get a little fired up today. So stick with me. We'll have some fun today, I think. I have some energy today. So stick with me. You're listening to All Things Marcellus. Join me each and every week at this time on this station. Give us a call. Learn about reviews, consultations, royalties, breach of leases, multi-unit wells. Give us a call. 570-307-0702. 570-307-0702. Keep listening to All Things Marcellus. I'm here each and every week at this time on this station. I'll be right back. Welcome back to All Things Marcellus with me, Attorney Doug Clark of the Clark Law Firm. Remember to join me each and every week at this time on this station. Also, I've been doing the show since 2010. I've been doing All Things Marcellus since 2010. So go to the websites. Really encourage you. If you haven't been there, my question is, why not? Again, free. Get some general information. Get you thinking whether we ever talk, whether you ever need representation. Get resources designed to help you. Go to pagasleaseattorney.com. Listen to prior radio shows. Go to pipelineattorney.com. My heavens, if you have a computer and you have a pipeline agreement offer and you are not going to pipelineattorney.com, again, the question is, why the heck not? Go check it out. Go check it out. You're not going to be worse off. Go to pipelineattorney.com. Read about frequently asked questions, issues, negotiation leverage. One of the biggest things, I'm telling you, do not take the companies or the company's representatives, do not take their word as being necessarily true. If they tell you, yes, we have the right to run a pipeline under the terms of your gas lease. Well, yeah, that may be true. It may not be, but it may be true. But just because you have the ability to run pipeline or pipelines under the lease, listen, guys, does not mean that you as a company have the right to run this pipeline. And I'm going to tell you this too. I've done hundreds of pipeline agreements, hundreds, all across Pennsylvania, hundreds. And in those agreements, I could probably count on one hand how many of them did not extend or grant additional rights than what were contained in the oil and gas lease. In other words, if a company says, oh, we can do it under the terms of the oil and gas lease, and then you should say, well, then why are you offering me this pipeline right-of-way agreement? And they're going to say, oh, we're really good guys. We're really, really good guys. And that's why we're doing it. Well, yeah, okay, they're in the business of giving away money. Well, no, they want to solidify it. They want to make sure that they have the rights that they're going to do. And probably, in many, many cases, I should say, they don't have the rights unless you sign the pipeline agreement. Or if they have the right to run the pipeline under the lease, well, your lease is probably going to expire before the company wants to quit using the pipeline. So in most leases, by far, if the lease expires, the company doesn't have the right to have the pipeline there. So they need to get a pipeline agreement. These are just some examples, but I'm telling you, pipeline agreements, call for a review and consultation. 570-307-0702. You can send in the paperwork. We can do it by telephone. You can come to the office, whatever works for you, regardless of your location. We're talking about probably an hour or two of time. So I really, really encourage you to do that. People are signing terrible, terrible pipeline agreements. They're not making changes in most of these agreements that are going to be very easy to add. They're not negotiating to maximize compensation. I mean, you know, I can easily say that in my pipeline clients, from the initial offer to where they've finished, if you combine it, I don't know what the number is, but I'm going to tell you millions upon millions and millions of dollars of increases, meaning that $20,000 pipeline offer, client signs $50,000 to $100,000 or more. You know, it all depends. These aren't promises. I'm just giving examples. This stuff happens all the time. But people are just signing. People are just signing and missing out on these opportunities. I'm not saying it happens every time, but it happens a lot. Or people think, well, I have no choice to sign. I really don't want this, but I'm going to go ahead and sign. Well, again, no, you might have had a choice, but you've been talking to the company and the company representatives, and you felt like you don't have a choice because why? They're giving you the information that they want you to have. They're not giving you the information that somebody working for you as your attorney is going to give you, because an experienced oil and gas attorney is going to identify issues, loopholes, problems, areas where the agreement can be improved, negotiation leverage for not only money, but for additional terms to be added. And this is the same with everything. But I'm just talking about pipelines for a second. That's what you need. You can't leave this stuff on the table. We're talking about many times tens and hundreds of thousands of dollars and other protection terms. And unfortunately, it's just occurring over and over again. So put down the pen, pick up the phone, give us a call, Learn about reviews and consultations. And then if you don't, say, hey, I don't like what I hear. What's the worst that happened? You spend an hour or two on the phone, or an hour on the phone, hour in review, maybe a half an hour review, hour in the phone, or in office. And now you know. You say, boy, that was dumb. Why'd I do that? Well, I'm going to tell you that just hasn't been my experience. But that's the worst thing that can happen. That's the worst thing. But you are going to get information. You're going to get information from your side, and you're going to understand your position. And you can decide what you want to do, being informed by somebody who's doing nothing but representing landowners, oil and gas matters, royalty owners, who's there to help you. So I really encourage you to learn about that service. And I am so fortunate that I have the work that I have, and I have a lot of work. It's not about I'm sitting here saying, oh my heavens, when is the phone going to ring to get the next client? It's not about begging to try to get clients. It's not about that. It's about wanting truly to make sure that I'm doing everything I can to stop people missing out on tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, or more because they were afraid to call, they didn't call a lawyer, they just listened to what the company said, and we got to stop that. So I want to hear from everybody, and we possibly can. We do the reviews and consultations and do way, way more than that. But I'm saying at least find out about that. If you have any hesitation or interest, 570-307-0702. And I mean it. I truly, truly mean it. If you don't call me, call a lawyer who's experienced in oil and gas, who is there to help you and going to work for you, educate you, and explain these things to you. I hear too many times a client says, oh yeah, I took it to my divorce lawyer, I took it to my family lawyer, and they said, oh yeah, that was good. And I look at it and I say, oh my gosh, you signed this lease at a time where you could have had no deductions, without a doubt, but now you've agreed to a lease, 5 years ago that allows for deductions because you took it to somebody that didn't know what they were doing. Or worse, I don't know what's worse, or you just believe the company land guy and say, oh yeah, okay, this is great, and you signed it, not knowing that, you do a quick call, you would have found out at that time, hey, this company always gives no deduction royalty, but you have to ask. And then you may find out, in modern day, what you think is no deductions isn't really no deductions, and through negotiation, you can change that. Every situation is different. This is all general information, but I'm telling you, you got to get that information. Put the pen down, pick up the phone. You need to do it. You're listening to All Things Marcellus with me, Attorney Doug Clark of the Clark Law Firm. Join me each and every week at this time on this station, and check out the websites, pagasleaseattorney.com, pipelineattorney.com. Now I want to talk about, all right, you guys, so we're going to have some fun. Yeah, this thing really fired me up. So years ago, let me give you this, we'll present it as a hypothetical. Years ago, I have a client and represent the client, pipeline negotiations. And we end up with a really good pipeline agreement, really good agreement. Client very happy. We have a lot of restrictions in it, maximize the money, very, very solid pipeline right-of-way agreement. Well, one of the terms in the agreement said that the company could not install any facilities of any kind above ground. Above ground facilities were completely precluded. Well, client says, again, hypothetical, says, hey, got this amendment, or amendment to the agreement, sent it to me. And thankfully, my clients who I've represented have a tendency, thankfully, to send me the documents they get in the future before they sign, because they know and they've experienced what can happen if they just sign and don't have these things reviewed. So review this, I say, oh my heavens. So the scenario to understand it is, the company installs facilities that are above ground, something above ground. So they put something above ground in the pipeline easement area that is not allowed to be there. Then it's there for years. And ultimately it's realized that, hey, there's something above ground that's not supposed to be there. And then the company then comes to the person and says, hey, we'd like to amend your right-of-way agreement. Why do we want to amend it? Well, we made a mistake. We put something above ground on your property that shouldn't be there. Well, some people may say, well, that's a really big problem. You've breached my agreement and you have something above ground and you're not allowed to. So what do I want to do? Well, you have some options, but let me go back to what the company says. Company says, hey, we screwed this up. We're really sorry. We really want to work with you. Now, of course, they're best friends. We really want to work with you. We want to get gas going out of here. This is all going to be a good thing that we put this above ground. So, if we want you to sign this amendment to allow us to have these above ground facilities on your property, which are not currently allowed to be there. There's a total breach of your agreement, that there's something above ground that's not allowed to be there. And we want you to sign this document to correct it. It gets worse. I'm going to explain after this break. Stay with me. This is the stuff that happens all the time. And this is what I'm saying about, when you're given an amendment, a modification, a ratification, I can't pound those words into your head enough. Amendment, modification, ratification. Put down the pen, pick up the phone. You're going to see why when I get back after this break. You're listening to All Things Marcellus, and keep listening each and every week at this time on this station to me, Attorney Doug Clark. Give us a call, 570-307-0702, 570-307-0702. I want to help you. Listen, stay tuned. I hear there's a real important message coming up. Stay tuned. I'll be right back. Welcome back to All Things Marcellus with me, Attorney Doug Clark of the Clark Law Firm. Make sure to join me each and every week at this time on this station for All Things Marcellus. You can always give us a call, learn about what we do. I do not, and I will not represent gas or pipeline companies. Give us a call, 570-307-0702. Learn about lease reviews, learn about reviews and consultations in general, pipeline agreements. I've been doing a lot more with litigation and breach work. Couple quick reminders: multi-unit well consents. Cabot, now Chesapeake, Southwestern starting to nibble around this. Multi-unit well consents. If you have a multi-unit well consent agreement and you're not, I'm going to say this, you give me a call. You really want to give us a call. Do a review and consultation. I can't encourage you enough. I'm going to say it again. Multi-unit well consents. If you or someone you love has a multi-unit well consent request, have them give us a call. Do at least a review consultation. Get this information. I think I can help you. 570-307-0702. Multi-unit well consents. 570-307-0702. I really encourage you to call. Also, Tioga County, my friends, those shut-in wells, as we know, aren't producing, and they're not looking like they're producing anytime soon. If you are shut in for 8 years now, I want to look at 8 years or more because these clocks keep ticking, but even 7 I'm interested in looking at. I'd like to see if we can help you. So if you're in Tioga County and you're shut in by one of these, especially vertical wells, but they, drill these wells, cap them, shut you in, pay you these shut-in checks year after year after year. Again, it's this ultimate setup these guys do. And this, I'm going to say, this drives me insane. So here we are. We're told in 2005, 6, 7, 8, we're going to make you rich. We're going to make you rich. You enter into a gas lease. You thought, and maybe even earlier than that, by the way, too, but you thought that when you were entering into a gas lease, that one of two things were going to happen. And we all know this is what you thought. This isn't, this is elementary. You thought that the company is going to produce gas or they're not. That was what you thought. You said, hey, I'm going to sign this deal. It's a 5-year deal. Company may have a 5-year option. But within this 5-10 years or shortly thereafter, if there's gas there and if the company wants to develop, if the market conditions are right, they're either going to produce gas and result in me getting royalty, or they're not going to, and this lease will end. And then I can do a new lease in the future if something comes along. But that's what you thought. I mean, let's quit playing, let's not beat around the bush here. That's what you thought. And worse, The company probably told you and definitely leaned you towards, hey, we're not going to do nothing. We're actually going to do something. We're going to produce gas. We're going to make you rich. That's probably what you thought, but at least you thought. They're either going to produce gas or they're not, and the contract is going to end. Who thought? Tioga County, other areas, but Tioga is just, it's a shame to me. It kills me. Who thought that you would be sitting there 10 years out, literally 15 years out, sitting there still under a contract, which now is a bad contract in market conditions today, still under contract, and never see a dime of royalty? Is that what anybody thought? Did anybody think that they'd be sitting there shut in year after year after year after year after year after year and not get any royalties? Well, I'm going to say I truly don't think a single person thought that. And yet here we are, where literally hundreds and hundreds and probably 1,000 plus people are held by shut-in wells year after year after year after year that aren't producing. And what does the company do then? What does the company do? Well, here's what they do now, and this is what makes me lose my mind. This is what they do now. They go out and they say, well, yeah, we're good guys. We're good guys. Here's what we want to do. You've been sitting out there a while. Let's get you some pipeline money. Oh, yeah, and pipelines are going to make you rich because we're going to transport gas. Now we're getting serious. Oh, yeah, so now we want to get your royalties. You've been sitting there for 10 years. You've been sitting there for 8 years shut in, whatever that number is, 5 years. But now's the time we're going to make you rich. So here's a pipeline agreement, $5, $10 a foot. Here, sign this. We're going to install some pipelines, and now you're going to get rich. Now you're going to, maybe we were told that before. But hey, things happen. Nobody saw. Things happen. So now, it's not bad enough that you signed an agreement under a belief. Listen, you want to talk gentlemen? The gentleman arrangement was, hey, look, I sign a gas lease. You either produce gas or not. That's a gentleman's agreement at its base. That's really fundamentally. Yeah, I may get taken advantage of royalty, this and this and that. Things may change. But we had one basic premise, that we're signing a gas lease to either produce gas or not. But yet there you are, doing neither. Just sitting, holding wells, maybe in many cases that you don't have the ability to hold, but unfortunately people aren't doing anything about it. And that's what I want to do, is something about it, because this is wrong. So they're sitting there holding wells, holding leases, capping wells, never intending potentially to produce, drilling at other locations, holding wells so they don't have to pay you more money. Then turning around and say, oh, yeah, hey, we want you to sign pipeline agreements because now we want to get you money because you're desperate, because you're sitting there for year after year after year when you thought you were going to get royalties and you're not getting any royalties. So now you're saying, man, I'm desperate. And I read these stories out there of people getting rich, which isn't always the case, but I read these stories. So, the key now becomes the pipeline. So, well, royalties are where the big money is. Well, remember all those promises you were told before? Well, now here you go. Okay, so here's the deal now. We want to help you. So here's a pipeline agreement, and we want you to sign it at $5, $10, $15 a foot. And people are saying, oh, okay, so now here it is. And so I better hurry up and sign because I want to become rich. That drives me crazy. You're listening to All Things Marcellus with me, Attorney Doug Clark of the Clark Law Firm. Join me each and every week at this time on this station. It drives me crazy. Just because we were taken advantage of once, does that mean that that's the setup to get taken advantage of again? Think about that. Think about this. Here I am as a company, and I say, yeah, we signed all these leases. We've held these leases with these wells that we've capped. So we got them where we want them. We're holding the leases. We don't have to pay new bonus. We don't have to renegotiate any terms, or not even renegotiate, because the lease would have otherwise ended. So we don't have to give new leases, better royalty, maybe better royalty calculation language. We don't have to pay any more bonuses. And look, we can use this as a way to get even cheaper pipeline agreements, because now the people are so desperate because they were promised royalties and they haven't received them yet. So they're ready to do whatever it is that I want them to do, which is sign a pipeline agreement at dirt cheap prices. Oh, and by the way, I own the pipelines and the pipeline company. I am also the gas producer. So I also am the company, as the pipeline company, who charges the fees to myself, the gas producer. And I'm also the company then that passes those on to you, the landowner. So I'm going to get you to sign at $10, at $5, $10, $15 a foot. Then I'm going to charge you deductions based upon the transportation prices that I charge myself. Oh, and I may use index pricing and then charge you the deductions for the pipeline charges that I charge myself, because I own the pipeline company and the gas lease company, or the gas producing company. And yeah, Tioga, think about that. Think about that. So you, in my opinion, are the area that, is the last area that should be, negotiating terrible pipeline agreements. You need a fair and a proper agreement. You do. But also, what you need is, if you're sitting there shut in year after year after year, you need to find out if you can do something about it. And that's where I'm interested in hearing. I look at these, especially on the weekends. Got to give me a little bit of time because I'm looking at a lot of these. But we're trying to see what we can do about this. And we're getting some interesting things, and we're getting ready. Things are going to happen. So we're going to do what we can do. But we need to hear from more people. And, it's one of these things, it's bad because you've been shut in longer, but the longer you're shut in, the better your claim may be to stop it. But also, if you are a person in this type of condition and situation, and there's thousands out there, if you get a shut-in check, don't, and look, this isn't specific advice. So generally speaking, and nothing in the show is specific advice. These are my opinions. But if you get a check and you think that you may have a problem, if you're going to call me, don't cash the check yet, call, and then we'll get a review consultation and figure out should you cash the check or not. But that's the first thing that companies want to turn around and use is, oh, you keep cashing the check. That's what I hear all the time. Well, they cash the check. So you're cashing this, $100 check, couple $100 check, few $100 check, and perhaps eliminating your ability to get a new lease by a $400 check or a $200, $300, whatever it is. So we got to stop that too. We got to get that advice first. All right, we're up against it again. You're listening to All Things Marcellus with me, attorney Doug Clark of the Clark Law Firm. I am going to talk back about, I got to get back to that pipeline agreement, but I got fired up here. I told you I was going to let that happen today. Keep listening each and every week at this time on this station, 570, my number, 570-307-0702. Regroup over this break. You pay attention, though. Again, I hear these are important messages. That's what I'm told. I'll be right back. Welcome back to All Things Marcellus with me, attorney Doug Clark of the Clark Law Firm. I think Dave's pancakes are ready, so we got our last segment going here. So, okay, I want to get back to this right-of-way agreement, my little example. So landowner negotiates a right-of-way agreement, says nothing can be above ground on their property. Sure enough, company breaches the agreement and puts an above-ground facility on the property. They screwed up. There's no doubt about it. Whether intentional or accidental, they screwed up. They're in breach of the agreement. So you can do something about this. So company says, hey, we're great guys. Sorry about that. Made a little accident, little boo-boo, screwed up here. So what we'd like you to do is sign this paper here and correct it. And, we might have screwed up here, but, hey, this could benefit you in the future. And, really appreciate if you help us out here. So maybe you're inclined to say, well, this company's, they made a mistake and I'm going to be easy on them and I'm going to work with them. Well, then they hand you this document. And remember, the idea being, okay, hey, you screwed up and you put something above ground. that you're not allowed to have above ground. So back when you negotiated the original agreement, you negotiated specifically to have nothing above ground. And in fact, you paid an attorney. Your attorney did a great job in this case and had nothing above ground was one of the many terms that they negotiated. Well, the company breached it. So now they want to come back again and fix it. So you would think they would say, okay, we'd like you to sign something to say that this thing or these things that we put above ground can stay there. And, look, in fairness, we'll offer you some money because you should be paid for something that you never agreed to. Well, you'd think that, wouldn't you? Well, that doesn't always happen now, does it? So, given an agreement that says we're going to delete the pipeline addendum term in its entirety that says that there could be nothing above ground, and we're going to replace it with some other language. I'm going to paraphrase some of this, but I'm going to read directly, but I'm not going to read it all. So it says that we're going to get rid of the language in your agreement, your addendum that you negotiated and did a great job that said we couldn't have anything above ground. We violated that. So, in order to make this right, here's what we want to here's what we're handing you. Not a document to just authorize the existing above ground structures that should not have been there. No, they can't just do that and offer you fair compensation. They come and say, we're going to delete or amend your original agreement to get rid of the language that precluded above ground facilities. And we're going to replace it with language that allows us to construct and remove, change the size, and so on. Pay attention. Any desired facilities, including valves, pumps, markers, pig launchers, receivers, measuring equipment, electric equipment, fences, anodes, meters, gates, cathodic protection device appliances, structures, equipment, materials, communication systems. Oh, here's one, compressors, and any other related equipment as desired for said purpose. They breached your lease, your pipeline agreement. They breached it. They put something above ground that is specifically precluded. Then they come back and say, hey, sorry about that. What do? They don't come and say, hey, look, we'd like you to sign this to authorize this, and we want to offer you some money because we screwed up. No, they come back and say, we want you to get rid of the language that said we couldn't do what we did, and then we don't want to just allow us to have those structures we have in place. We want to have the ability to put in any other desired facilities, including, now this is lengthy, but remember, we have valves, pumps, launchers, receivers, measuring equipment, structures, communication systems, compressors, and more. So this doesn't just correct what they did wrong. This now adds, not only can they put something above ground, they could put almost anything above ground. So you say, well, first off, I don't know how you can get past that. But let's say hypothetically you could. And you say, well, it's only a 50-foot right-of-way. They're going to have to put something above ground in that area, and I don't really care that much. And really, can they put a meter site, a compressor, buildings, metering station? Can they do that in a 50-foot area? Well, let's go further. By the way, you're listening to All Things Marcellus with me, Attorney Doug Clark of the Clark Law Firm. Join me each and every week at this time for All Things Marcellus, where you're going to get this type of information for you, the landowner. So, not only does it not simply correct the mistake that they made in direct breach of your agreement that you negotiated, that you paid money for and you got so you wouldn't have this problem. Now they create the problem. They don't say, hey, let me fix it and offer you some money. Sorry about that. They say, well, let me be able to, because I breach, here's a document to allow me not only to breach what I did, but to do all kinds of other things. But you say, well, maybe you say, well, it's going to be within the right of way, so how bad could it be? Well, again, let's keep reading as we often need to. So it says that these structures could be either above or below ground for natural gas or water pipelines permitted under the agreement shall be, and okay, here we go. So these above ground facilities that I read to you, which could include compressors, communications, all these other different things, buildings, structures. Okay, where can they be located? Here it is. Within, okay, that's a 50-foot right-of-way. Within or immediately adjacent to the right-of-way heretofore granted. So, these structures, facilities, compressors, communication systems, meters, electric equipment, those don't have to be in the 50-foot easement. They can be within or immediately adjacent to. Well, what if they take 2 acres right beside the easement? Does this allow it? Well, it appears that it does. Then it allows further ingress and egress travel to and from these facilities, which wasn't allowed previously in the underlying agreement, unless they used the right-of-way. They couldn't create their own roads. So, to summarize, what do we have? We have an agreement that says you cannot put anything above the ground, pipeline company. Pipeline company then blatantly breaches the agreement and puts above ground facilities on the property. That is a breach. They can't be there. Maybe you want to be reasonable and say, okay, you screwed up. So company says we need to fix this, and company says we need to fix this. So we're going to present you with this document. Do they present you with a document that says, okay, these facilities that we put there can remain in place, we won't do anything else, and we're going to offer you some money because we screwed up and we shouldn't have done that? No, they don't do that. They, in turn, want to amend your underlying agreement to not only allow their mistake to remain in place, but to then give them the ability to now put anything they want above ground, and not just in the right-of-way area, the 50-foot area, but they could also put anything they want above ground as long as it's immediately adjacent to that right-of-way area. This is the stuff that makes me lose my mind. You have an agreement, they breach it, and now they want to parlay that into you signing to allow what they did and to give them all kinds of other rights that they never even had. Oh, and by the way, there's no money associated with this agreement at this time. Well, let me tell you this. Thankfully, in a hypothetical situation, this person calls. And it ain't going to happen that way. It's not going to happen that way. And that's the type of stuff that unfortunately is occurring way too often. And that's what we need to stop. And this is a great example. Review and consultation. I mean, this is a paragraph. It took me, less than a minute to read this thing and say, wow. Thankfully, this person sent it to me, because sadly, people were signing things like that. And then, what happens? What if a meter site pops up on the property? What if a compressor facility pops up on the property? Well, you gave them the right to do it, and there ain't nothing you can do about it then. So this is the stuff, and this is one example we have to stop. We have to stop, and I got examples. We have to stop it. You're listening to All Things Marcellus with me, Attorney Doug Clark of the Clark Law Firm. You can give me a call, reviews, consultations, any oil and gas-related matter, 570-307-0702. 570-307-0702. We have to get this information. We have to put down the pens. We have to start picking up the phone. We have to protect ourselves. The companies aren't there to protect you. And we do agreements all the time. We just do the best possible agreements we can. So keep listening each and every week. And remember, the landman works for the company, not you, the landowner. Put down the pen, pick up the phone, give us a call, 570-307-0702. Stop signing bad agreements. And most importantly, have a great week, everyone. See you next week.